So the opening lines of the, like, we haven't even gone past the beginning, right? We've just talked about what the chapter is about. It's going to be a long course. We haven't even gotten to the first of the 100+ lines.
And we haven't finished the first line.
Yeah, no, yeah. But that first line said, all the things, or all the branches, it can be translated, that came before are for the sake of wisdom. And so the debate was, for a while in all the commentaries, is like, what does it mean, Master Shantideva? Does it mean that the chapter before, like we discussed, meditation was for the sake of wisdom? And we know the answer is, if we're talking about have that direct contact with ultimate reality, well, that's a good answer. But then other commentators like Gyaltsuk J would say, no, it's more than that, right? All the branches that came before. So what are all the things that come before wisdom in the 6 perfections? Give me the 6 perfections. Giving, ethics, patience, joyful effort, concentration or meditation, and wisdom. Okay, all those things are needed to generate wisdom, which was your answer, right? They come sequentially, right? So someone said that, said, hold on, what he means is you need to perfect giving, you need to perfect a good way of living, an ethical way of living that is in accord with emptiness, meaning you give if you want to have instead of take. You care for life if you want to have a good existence rather than killing it. Yeah, you live an ethics that is congruent with the kind of existence you want to have, not incongruent. So don't punch if you don't want to be punched. Yeah, treat others. A very short, brief way to summarize ethics. It really means take vows, make a promise, tolerate, blah blah blah. The next one is do not react with anger to anything, because that will just eat away all goodness, all the virtue, all the positive energy you're generating gets burnt off like the matches I took last week. Don't do it, even if they're right, okay? Because you're just killing your goodness. So practice that. Then you have really get off on doing goodness. Develop a habit of being happy when you do good things. Don't be embarrassed. Like, that's probably one of my worst things. I'm embarrassed to teach these things because they're bloody good and nice. You know, and a part of me was taught to be a rebel, naughty boy. You know, and so a part of me is like, I'm a little embarrassed. I have to say kindness and I have to say nice. Boring. You know, like this.
Don't forget to say suffering.
I know. But which is, you know. But really be happy, and the way to do that is you have to deconstruct your habits and go, hold on, this exchange that we're having for half an hour, remove all the rigmarole and whatever, however many people are in the room, really trying to figure out how to completely save this planet from the stuff we see happening is one of the most magnificent things you can do with your mind. You can do things physically and whatever, but to just ponder the possibility that you are capable of transforming the planet, and we get to talk about it as a real possibility, that's stunning. Be happy. Be really happy. Yeah? Because then that gets colored with joy, which creates bliss when you're a Buddha. Okay? Then comes your capacity for concentration, meditating. Do you have the big boxes of your mind, or does your mind have you? Can you really choose how to meditate? Can you meditate? Can you use your mind instead of your mind using you? Do you have concentration down? Yeah? Or are you trying to meditate all the time? So the debate came, you need to perfect all those things before you can get to see emptiness directly. Right? So the second answer in the commentaries is what Master Shantideva means when he says all the branches that came before were for the sake of wisdom must be that you've got to perfect meditation before you can see emptiness directly. And Gyaltsuk J says, yeah, good answer, but not it, right? It's a Mayinga. He's like, that's a great answer. And then it's like, well, then you need to perfect all the other things. And he says, no on 3 counts. What? No on 3 counts. And let me begin in Tibetan the first of his argument, why not? Okay? And the reason I want to begin in Tibetan is because it's really cool when you get, I don't know any Tibetan, I'm only copying and repeating, but I've been doing it long enough that I see a word that I go, I know that word. Yeah? And then when you see it in the explanation, like before you saw it directly, that gives you some meaning when you know you have to see emptiness directly. It's completely different to see it in a text of Tibetan thousands or hundreds of years old versus thinking you just heard it from your teacher from 1998. When you see it in Jetson Karpa's text or Kedrup J's, it's authority beyond what I had the grasp for. Yeah? So the Tibetan, the first answer about not necessarily having to perfect all previous 5 perfections in order to get wisdom is the Tibetan says Lopon. Do you know what Lopon is? Do you remember Lopon? Anyone who was in Tibet, in Nepal with us? Lopon? Anyone? If Jenna was here, she'd go, I know Lopon. He was the master of the monastery that Jacqueline was sitting at the back. He was Lopon someone. It's master, yeah? Or charya in Sanskrit. Yeah? Lopon, master someone. Master Shantarakshita. Do you know, have you heard of him? Master Shantarakshita was the abbot of Nalanda University, I think I want about 700 and something. Maybe around the time of Master Shantideva or just after, I can't remember exactly. And his big deal for our lineage was that he got the teachings from Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti and someone else, and I can't remember, and put them together into the lineage that we're using. Yeah, so he was really the Joseph Campbell of his time, way before Joseph Campbell did comparative religion, meaning here are similarities between views. He was that for the wisdom lineage. Yeah, so that he's quoting Lopon, Master Chandrarakshita, I can't say it. Yeah, Chandrarakshita. And he quotes him by saying that you can perceive emptiness just by talking about it. Master Chandrarakshita says people have a perception of emptiness. Right now you're having a perception of emptiness. Are you not? It might be fuzzy, it might be incorrect, it might be filled with jikta, but you are getting some grasp on this thing we call emptiness. And do you have to be a perfect giver, a perfect ethics person, to actually have that perception of emptiness? Obviously not, because we're having it, and I'm assuming some of us have not perfected that. So Master Shantarakshita said, you don't need to have perfected the previous 5 perfections, because obviously people can have some kind of fuzzy conception connection with emptiness. Now it's not direct and it's not the thing itself, but you can have an intellectual understanding of it. Is that fair? Can you? Yeah? Cool. The second argument, let me give you the 3 and then we can discuss it, right? The second argument, this was the awesome thing about Lopon Shitsongar, which is Shantarakshita, Ni Tu Sum Gi. Do you remember Tu Sum Gom? Tu Sum Gom? Tu Sum Gom. Tu Sum Gom. It's the 3 ways that you internalize any kind of teaching. 2 is you turn up to class thousands of hours over and over listening emptiness, emptiness, emptiness this, emptiness that, emptiness, emptiness, thousands of hours. This is the Buddhist theory of learning. You must be soaked in repetition over and over and over. The two, yeah, means hearing it or listening or being in the classroom. Sum, do you remember what that was? You need to contemplate it. Sum means contemplation. You think about it. On the train, you try for half an hour. You are swimming. The two that we had in class the previous week, you were swimming, yeah? And Gom is meditation. You then meditate deeply. So we didn't get to Gom, but he said Tusum, right? And when you see that, you're like, oh wow, that's right. You've got to learn and contemplate so you can meditate on it. So it's really nice when you do get a taste of Tibetan in the commentary that is explaining why you don't need the 5 perfections, and the quoting Master Shantrarakshita, right there, Master Shantrarakshita said, you learn, you contemplate, and then you can get some idea. You don't need to have a direct experience. Is that cool? Yeah, so that was Tusumgam. The second is that after you practice that, for many people on the planet who study the Tusum emptiness or wisdom, and you begin to investigate through Gomming, meditation, over and over and over and over, year after year, you test your reality and then you compare it to fake reality, to things appearing self-existently, to getting your happiness from your job, to having yet another relationship, to whatever. You begin to see how your conviction and your understanding of emptiness gets a little bit broader, a little bit deeper, and a little bit stronger, up until you can have a solid conviction, a complete faith, if you like, that this is really how the world operates. So practitioners who have been meditating for a long time can walk around the planet having almost a tantric view of this world, being, I am only looking at this world through the eyes of wisdom. Even though Jikta's pushing, I've managed to tame some Jikta enough to be in this room and have an experience that there's something behind everything right here. And it's so strong in them, so habituated, such a conviction, that it's almost their default, even though they have not yet made direct contact with it. So the second reason why you don't need to perfect the other 5 perfections before you get the direct perception of emptiness is people can have such a deep conviction of emptiness through habituation, through Gomming after Tusuming, yeah, that they don't need to be super givers. And so do you need virtue?
Yes.
Yeah, right? You need like a ton of virtue, because it's an awesome good karma to be able to see the world closer to its reality than we currently see. So you definitely need storehouses of goodness. You need virtue, but not necessarily the other 5 perfections gotten perfect. And lastly, he says those self-made Buddhas and listeners who are what? Who are self-made Buddhas or listeners?
Those who have had. So the listeners are the ones that listen to the teaching but cannot apply it.
Which teaching?
To the Dharma teaching.
Which Dharma teachings?
Buddha.
Mahayana teachings. They can listen to the Mahayana teachings. They're talking about Hinayana practitioners, which means practitioners of the way of reaching nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Not Buddhahood. Yeah?
Right.
From this perspective, because you could have arguments about different perspectives, from this perspective, a self-made Buddha or a listener is a being of a Hinayana track, motivation to reach, permanently stop your mental afflictions. So it's someone in the Hinayana track. What's the difference between a Hinayana track and a Mahayana track?
They're not doing it necessarily for the sake of...
They're not necessarily doing it as a Bodhisattva for the sake of others. So even Hinayana practitioners, listeners, who can hear a Mahayana teaching but might not be able to act it out or pass it on, or self-made Buddhas who have reached a point where they can have seen emptiness directly, can remove their mental afflictions, have nirvana, but not necessarily for the sake of others, therefore not jumping onto Buddhahood. They have not teacher in this life that you can attribute that to. That's why they call self-made Buddhas. Even those two kinds of beings have had direct perception of emptiness because they had to reach nirvana, and they're not doing the 5 perfections because they're not Mahayana practitioners. They're not on the Bodhisattva track, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. Quick.
So if they're not on the Bodhisattva track, Does that mean that there's a possibility that if they see it, they can lose it again?
No, well, no. It's a. Once you get to see the code of the matrix, you saw the code of the matrix. That's it. But the point here is that they didn't start doing it with the motivation to help others. So the whole ethical practice isn't for the sake of others. The giving isn't for the sake of others. They don't practice the other 5 perfections. So the proof is, you don't need the other 5 perfections to have direct contact with emptiness directly.
So,
We'll get to the big result. Does that answer your question or not?
Yes.
Yeah? So it's another perspective on the Dharma. You reaching enlightenment, reaching Buddhahood, reaching nirvana, getting to a point where you see emptiness directly is so out there compared to normal schmucky us or me. Yeah? It's so an advanced practitioner that, I hesitate to call it the lesser way like they have it in the scriptures. It's not lesser. It's a magnificently higher awesomeness. But the focus is nirvana, permanent cessation of mental afflictions. Buddhahood is completely different. We'll get to talking about that in a second.
So what exactly is self-made Buddha versus Buddha proper?
Yeah, self-made Buddha just means someone that has reached nirvana without a teacher in this lifetime.
Without a teacher?
Without a teacher in this lifetime.
In this lifetime?
Yeah. They say, and that's described from the Mahayana perspective, saying they must have had 1,000 teachers before. Otherwise, how could they get the virtue or the understanding?
But then somehow in this lifetime without a teacher,
The virtues popped up.
like the karma.
And they seem like they themselves got to nirvana without any instruction. It's not. It just means. I don't want to get into self-made Buddhas or listeners, but it just means practitioners of a Hinayana track who don't have the 6 perfections as their main practice still reach a point where they see emptiness directly.
Okay, but the listener is different than the self-made Buddha, and then the self-made Buddha just kind of popped at the moment, versus the listener was maybe listening to some
To
other
teachings or other teachers.
They were on another track. They might have listened to Mahayana teachings.
But they weren't implemented or not in the way that it was described. Leave that for now because it will take us in a squiggle.
Sure.
But you can look up self-made Buddhas and listeners. The point being, from the commentary, 3 reasons why the lines, everything that came before, meaning the other 5 perfections, don't necessarily have to be perfected before you get to have a deep experience of wisdom. What were the 3 answers? Summarize it for me, because I forgot. First answer was?
Listening.
We're having a perception, right? Like just
listening over and over and over. Listening.
You can learn about it.
you're having a perception of emptiness right now. Right now you're having it, right? Emptiness, the lack of inherent existence. The world's coming from you. Things are not what they seem. Yeah, you're having a conception of it.
It's an intellectual.
So you have some kind of rough intellectual. So that, have you perfected giving? Have you perfected ethics?
No.
I mean, I don't know. You check for yourself. If you have, then maybe you needed that to get an intellectual. But he's saying, no, just to get an intellectual thing, you don't need to have perfected. So people do grasp emptiness directly without having a direct experience. They grasp what that means, and you don't need the 5 other perfections to get there. So maybe the opening lines of this chapter don't mean that you need the 5 other perfections before you get to see emptiness, right? What was the second one?
It's a deeper.
You can have a deep conviction, years of practice, and walk around the world with a complete view of emptiness without having seen it directly, be so strong in it, and you haven't perfected the other 5 perfections. You can still do that. And what's the third and sort of punchline? Hinayana practitioners that don't even practice the other 5 perfections, have had direct perceptions of emptiness and reached nirvana. They have they have made contact with that ultimate reality, and they've not had to practice the other 5 perfections.
But isn't having no mental affliction, so no jealousy, no hatred, isn't that the flip side of that is you're going to be an ethical, generous person because you're not?
But it's not for the sake of others. Yeah? Which includes giving and joy for doing good to others and the rest.
But if you have a direct perception of emptiness, like, it seems that the way that we've been talking about this is very, like, singular, and then we just studied in this text, in the last course, about the separation between the self and others. And so I guess the way that I'm kind of thinking of it is, how could you possibly have a direct perception of emptiness without also, like, at the same time achieving bodhicitta?
Because you're not on the Mahayana track, you're on the Hinayana track.
Right, but if you're perceiving ultimate reality, how could you not have compassion for all of the other beings
That's
around you?
another debate altogether. That's the Mahayana Hinayana discussion. But we're not having that right now. Okay? I need to get you to the next two ideas before we finish. Did you notice that on Facebook we changed the finish time to 10 o'clock?
No.
I'm so stressed out. No, keep going.
We did it to 9:45.
I wanted to say 10 o'clock, and then when they're very disappointed, bring it back to 9:45, but you cut me short.
We did it to 9:45 so that when you're 15 minutes over 9:45,
It's 10 o'clock. No.
Why don't you stay all night?
I see 10:15 in your future.
yeah, I do too.
Thank you so much.
So,
Listen, it's worth 15 minutes, okay? It really is. It's worth way more than 15 minutes. Just follow for now, okay? Get the answer, and then we'll gom it. Not we'll gom it, we'll sum it. Yep. We'll sum it. Huh? Kewadia. Kewa. So, So if the commentary just finished telling us, hold on a minute, it's not those first lines saying what we're about to study, which we haven't started yet, what we're about to study was for the sake of, well, the stuff before was for the sake of what we're about to study. The branches that came before is for what we're about to study for the sake of wisdom. And it doesn't mean meditation, the thing that came before. And it doesn't mean you need to perfect the other 5 perfections before you get to wisdom. What the hell does it mean? So there's this debate going, if you don't have to have perfected the 5 previous perfections in order to get whatever he's implying we're going to get out of wisdom, what is it for? What did he mean for the sake of wisdom? The other 5, which were giving, generosity, not getting angry, joyful effort, and meditation, why were they? If it's not for the point of seeing emptiness directly.
To charge that emptiness.
What kind of wisdom could they be talking about?
Perfection.
What's the perfection of wisdom?
Potential to become a Buddha.
What kind of thing does a Buddha have that a Nirvana-ist doesn't? Omniscience. So he's talking specifically about the omniscience part of wisdom. The removal of the obstacles to omniscience. All that stuff that came before, perfecting, giving, ethics, is needed if you want to get to Buddhahood. If you want to remove the obstacles to omniscience. That's what he means. Now I could have told you that, but then you wouldn't have learned anything else. But it's like, there's the answer, now go home. You know? So the answer here is, he's referring to the specific part of the Buddha's wisdom that is his omniscience. Now there's 2 parts of the Buddha, right? Remember the wind that moves the flame, one side, the other side? What's the part?
Dharmakaya.
Dharmakaya is the
Something else, the wisdom.
wisdom, right? And within that Dharmakaya, there's a Dharmakaya and there's something else, a Kaya, which is the omniscience part, right? So, the activity of a Bodhisattva creates the body of a Buddha. The first 3 perfections. And the other 2 create the mind. The last 2, meditation and wisdom. And so he's talking about the omniscience part of the Buddha. And that's important.
So the first 3 create
The physical car, Nirmana, the
No.
Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and then the Dharmakaya is the other two. The Rupakaya is the other two put together. The two truths and two realities. The next line is something like, we accept the two truths as being two, the one which is deceptive and the other one which is ultimate. And that'll be the last thing I'll talk about, and then we can finish there. Why are truths called truths? Relative truth or deceptive truth is a better translation, and ultimate truth.
Because we think it's true.
Who thinks it's true?
Experience it as true.
We in our reality think that this is true.
And which is our reality?
Conventional reality or deceptive reality.
And it's filled with
Deception.
great. So it's ignorant, right? It's got jikta in it. Yeah. So from a point of view of a mind that is colored in ignorance, who's got the pig in the center of it, from a point of view of a mind that is dreaming, it seems real.
Yeah.
So that's why they call fake reality or deceptive reality deceptive truth. Yeah? Because in Tibetan you have the two truths, deceptive truth and ultimate truth. We just discussed what ultimate truth is. Ultimate truth is the way things are. Ultimately, it's that thing you make contact with wisdom. Wisdom is that, making contact with that ultimate reality. You've taken the pill for the matrix and you see things for what they are. And you realize that you've never seen them that way before. Deceptive truth is a truth. Is it really a truth?
No, it's a lie.
So why would the Tibetans call a truth a lie?
Because we're deceived in this
Right.
perceived reality.
Great. So you got that? For a mind that is deceived, it appears true. For a very, very drunk person, there really are pink elephants. Like when they're seeing them, they're real for them. They're not sitting there going, I'm hallucinating. They're like, I see a pink elephant. I'm using a silly example, but you get the idea. It's the same thing. If you're so lost in a dream, so lost in a dream that you are feeling everything and tasting everything and touching, and you think it's real, it's not until you wake up that you know it wasn't. For that mind that is lost in that world, in the deep, deep dream, or in the drunk mind, that reality is a truth. It's a fake truth, and it functions. So we're going to start talking about the two worlds we live in. You do live in a deceptive reality. Does that deceptive reality exist?
Yes.
Really?
No, but it doesn't exist.
Cool. I like that. Really was answered correctly. It does exist, right? You do have, I think I did this last week, you do have deceptive truth legs that can deceptively, truthfully get you out the door. That you can deceptively, truly stand in front of a taxi, and that deceptively, truly you'll end up to the deceptive truth's hospital with a deceptive truth operation, with a deceptive truth bill. Yeah? Mm-hmm. It functions. We operate in it. It doesn't, the mistaken view is that, it doesn't exist and it doesn't matter and I can be a crazy person, hippie. Yeah? I didn't mean to talk about hippies. Sorry. I was looking at the girl with the flowers in the hair. Sorry. No, it's just those incorrect moments when you make eye contact with them. Like I said hippies, I saw flowers, I'm like, shut up, change the subject. But instead, I made a thing of it. I made a present. Don't mention the mall. No. So we'll discuss deceptive truth is a functioning thing. We operate in it. In fact, we are in it all the time. We're soaked in it. We live in it, we breathe in it, we know nothing but it. ultimate reality, or ultimate reality is a quality of every deceptive truth thing too. Meaning everything in our deceptive truth mind has an emptiness to it. And it means any object that you are placing your mind on has its emptiness. So an ultimate reality is available to you as much as the deceptive reality. We are swimming in it. The air has its own emptiness. The sensation of breath has its own emptiness. The thought that you understood what I said has its own emptiness. Yeah, it's true. And it's, remember the quality of emptiness, the synonym of a diamond, the synonym or metaphor of a diamond. And one of them was that it's so crystal clear that you could have a wall of it and not see it. And we are in that wall. We are inside a world filled to the brim of emptinesses. You just need to make contact with one of them. You pick the one. Your hair follicle, the blinking of the eye, the thought of the thought, the meditation, the idea of self, the anger. You choose. Every single thing you're interacting with has its own emptiness. You already know the Jigta perspective on it. Boring, you've been doing that for eons. Wake up. There's behind everything, there's an emptiness waiting for you to connect with it, and you only need to connect with it for 20 minutes. In one human life, 20 minutes, and it changes the game forever. You see that cycle going around eon after eon after eon after eon, even the micro. I got happy, I got sad, I got happy, I got sad, I was lonely, I wasn't, I was lonely, I wasn't, I had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend, I had no boyfriends, I had blah. It's never going to stop. But if you make contact with just one of these infinite emptinesses around you for 20 minutes, you are a stream intro. And then the work really starts. But you know that the work starts and you can actually get out. It's guaranteed. And to answer your question at the beginning, doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm not going to have any negative deeds. Right? I saw emptiness directly. I saw the way things truly function. So one of the qualities of after seeing emptiness directly for 20 minutes is you return to this sticky samsaric existence, and do things change?
Yeah. I mean, they still appear
They still appear with Jigta, right?
For what they are.
You know that you're living in a lie. But you now have an impulse of X number of lifetimes still telling you to take, still telling you to punch, still telling you to kill, still telling you to steal. Except that you know it's not correct. And sometimes you have the karma and the impulse to stop yourself, and sometimes you don't. So it's not like I saw emptiness directly, ta-da! You have to deal with everything you've habituated. One of the qualities of that experience is you saw your boo-boos. You saw all the karmic imprints that you've just generated in all these lives, that you've never seen the world like this before, and now you've got to clean it up. Except you really have the right cleaning fluid. You really have the right tools. Thank you. Yeah? I'm trying to think of a metaphor. And so you will kill a roach thinking you're going to get rid of the roach. It's an impulse. You'll get mosquito. Except all of a sudden you'll figure out that that will not produce samsara anymore, and that you have to fix that, and you'll get to fixing it.
Right, so that's slightly confusing right now, because
It is.
If nirvana is the cessation of all mental afflictions,
Yeah.
and still reality appears from mental afflictions.
I'm not talking about nirvana, I'm talking about the direct perception of emptiness. They're different things.
You need to get rid of all the bad seeds so you can enter nirvana.
So the listeners and the
Self-made Buddhists have seen emptiness directly and then removed some mental afflictions.
So do they get out of samsara?
Yeah, instantly when they reach nirvana.
So then why do it for everybody else?
Correct. Why? Why?
No,
Good
I asked the
question.
question.
I know. Why? What's the answer?
Not doing it for
That's-
everybody
that's-
else will take me to nirvana too.
Will it?
Well, apparently that's what.
No,
says
it
here.
will. Why do it for everyone else? What's the answer? Say it again. Why omniscience? How does that work? Doing it for everyone else. The difference is nirvana or Buddhahood, right?
Right, yeah, I understand.
Full enlightenment. Full enlightenment means omniscience. Yeah? The capacity to see everything in all time, past, present, and future, and simultaneous and filled with bliss.
But if all of your mental afflictions have ceased, you won't care if you're omniscient or not.
The Mahayanas will say eventually you do.
So,
Like when?
I mean,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
still want to
when- I don't
do
know.
Mahayana back because it's better.
You
So
can.
you can
Only
have, so you
for better.
can see nirvana, but you're still in the weed. You're still.
No, nirvana is the moon on the top left-hand corner.
But like, are you stuck? Like, if you like didn't do it for other people, then you get.
Rand studied this as a practitioner. Let's hear it.
I want to say first that say 20 minutes, actually, it's one thought moment, which means it's the shortest time in the universe, because it can't be something gradual. It's either there or not, and it's one thought moment called para in Adidara, and all the rest, thought moment you are in this direct disciplinary test, which is a state where you are not here, like in jhana, they're already the result of that. So, and there are, in the sutras, there are cases like Ananda, who was really wanted to reach enlightenment before the assembly of the first assembly of the Buddha death. And he just put his head on the pillow, and at that moment he got everything become so actually he jumped the whole way.
I'm giving the transmission from our lineage, and I understand that there are others.
So
Yeah.
just in that respect, and according to this, like it's like one of the metaphors is when you cut a tree. The tree is still there, but it starts gradually collapse, and that's it. I mean, it's just a critical threshold from which the tree will not be able to sustain it in the ego. So it can take a long time, it can take 7 lifetimes. It's just the beginning of the process. You can have a lot of affliction yet, and still it will happen.
Yeah. But you've done the cut that will make it fall open.
Yes.
Yes.
Already because it's already.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your questions.
I mean, it does answer some. At some point, it feels more answered than others, but it's fine.
The way that I was more comfortable with this division between Mahayana and Hinayana, and understanding the omniscience of a Buddha and the experience of all things giving you bliss, is that if you're generating the courses to experience everything as bliss, then you must generate those courses by acting towards everything with generosity, joyful effort, ethics, not getting angry, concentration. So because you're imbuing every single possible object with a quality that is blissful and joyful and giving, then you must experience from it all a sensation of, bliss and amazingness and so on. And that helped me feel that difference between Nirvana and Buddha. Yeah.
It just seems like, I mean, it goes back to the Bodhisattva thing, which like we don't have to debate now, but it just seems that like if the way to do it is to push things out into the world, then pushing things out into the world is bodhicitta. Like I don't understand how.
But I was just talking about that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But like, how could you ever extract that from escaping samsara? Like, I don't understand how.
Like being in a cave for your whole life. And
because you understand that the world isn't the way you see it. Because wisdom, through wisdom, you understand that world that you're out there, separate to you, isn't the world you're giving to. You're giving with correct view. You're perfecting giving. You're perfecting ethics. You're perfecting that by understanding that world isn't out there separate to you the way you think you're exchanging with that samsaric world. There's no samsaric world separate from you like that. That's why it functions that way. Yeah.
We were talking about not reacting out of anger. I see anger as one of the natural human emotions. So when you do experience it, what do you do?
There's two answers in the last course from Master Shantideva. And one is bump on the log, which is freeze. Like, don't perpetuate anger with anger. Just freeze, sort of what Rachel was saying at the beginning, where she understood enough about emptiness and the causes of future experiences similar to this karma to know that if she did react with anger and hatred out there towards this world that appeared to be causing her problems, she was just going to get more of it. And so at the bare minimum you stop, or you try to stop, and eventually you do, and then you can focus that energy into understanding where it comes from, the investigation of wisdom and so on. It sort of disrupts the mental thought processes from getting lost in anger and frustration, and gets you to a deeper place of the sensation, the feeling, the prana, whatever you want to call that thing that's moving, that is just energy really. It's a flow, but we're calling it something. You said it was suffering, or you said, what did you say? It was pain. It was pain. So eventually you get to see, if you can do that for a minute, then you can do it for 5 minutes. Yeah? Now, the implication that I want to clarify here is, initially I thought, now I have to be a doormat for everyone, and people can do whatever they want to me, and then I have to put up with them because I can't get angry. And that's not what it's saying at all. You know, it's at some point you have to stop negativity in your world and be forceful when you are in the understanding of why you're being forceful. If you're stopping someone doing harm and you have to raise your voice so they can wake up, then you raise your voice. If you're raising your voice because you just want to punch them in the face, then you're going to get that as a result. You can't escape the result of your own thinking and causing an effect, you know. So whatever your motivation is for pushing out that energy, it's still the energy, yeah? But whatever your motivation for pushing out that energy is what you'll experience as your reality later on. If it's to be angry and punch them in the face, you're going to get that back. And if it's going to be like correct someone from hurting themselves and the people around them, you're going to get that. You're going to get someone coming in and interjecting you at the right time when you're about to get angry and fixing it for you.
Right. So it's a natural emotion that sort of says, something's not right here, I need to sort this out.
In samsara, anger is a natural emotion, but it doesn't have to be for a conscious mind. It's just a quality of this realm here. It's something changeable. It can stop completely. So we call it natural because we're used to it, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's nearly 10 o'clock. I'm not doing 10:15. You have to go home. I know. Yeah. I'll do a quick meditation. Okay, 6-minute meditation. Let's dedicate any goodness that you got out of this, or any chipping away at ignorance or jikta that you got, dedicated for anyone that and everyone that needs it. Give it away as soon as you can, Steve.
Sashim
Bukir Jishim Metotram Mira Vinchin Indegim Padi Sangha Shindu Miteluari Dropu Namda Shinla Tripasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyasayami
Dewa
Niroku Sudam Yashe Satsokshin Sudam Yashe Rejunwe Dhamma Kuni Tavasho and spending time thinking about these things. And I hope you use them every minute. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have a chance to connect with the 3 jewels, we need your help. We're moving. We're sort of moving. We're opening Go Yoga. We've got so many things going on. We need people that can market, spread the word, get more yoga students here, volunteer not at the front desk but with your skill set, promotion, marketing, Facebook, money, give us money. Yeah, anything that you can help. Architects, so we got someone helping us look at the new place. We're going to be needing a lot of help soon, so see what capacity you have and what willingness you have, and whatever it is, we'll need it. Connect with us, Stephen or me, and let us know your wish to help, or if you know other people that have capacity or willingness to help, let them know, because in the next 3 to 6 months we're going to need all the help we can get.
Blog writers.
Huh?
Blog writers.
Blog writers, yeah.
If you still didn't have sign in, you can sign in with me. And about the agent project, if anybody plays chess or even if you just want to spend time with the wrong person, come to me. There is all kind of cool projects now that are going there. And I want to
Cool, thank you.
Sorry.
Chess is all people, so it's a cool thing. You break the loneliness and you help the mind to become sharper. So there is this project which is to help all people, all those people who by playing chess.
This is extra homework quizzes if anyone needs
Come and ask.
If anyone needs extra homeworks and quizzes, I'm going to ask you next week, so take them from Stephen, please,
I'm going to give them to you.
or Hector.
There's a homework and a quiz on top and bottom. So take 2 pages.
Anybody else need homework and quiz?
Should only be 1 left.
Homework and quiz.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for making it. This is really yummy.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, check
That's
that. Mango. Yeah, it's a real one.
It's a Nepali one.
In the middle, it's getting better. Like